What is up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. We have the great Andy Herman. But before we talk to him, big shout out to Quick Trip, sponsor of the show, best gas station in the world. But I want to get right to you, Andy. First of all, how have you been?
Hey, I'm great, man. Thanks so much for having me. I always love talking with you. It's always a ton of fun. So I have high expectations today. I think this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I think this is one of the rare times that I've talked to you that I haven't been drinking. I did a little.
You need to fix that.
I had Peter Bukowski on last night. I went a little hard in the paint after that one. I'm on vacation, so
Nice.
today I did pretty much nothing. I watched a lot of Friends, but
That works.
people always make fun of me for that. Anyways, a lot going on in Packerland. I think this is a really good day to have you on because a lot obviously happened today or didn't happen. So jumping right into it, like, what are your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers not showing up? And like, are you surprised at all?
No, not surprised. I think at least over the last few weeks, it seemed like the writing was on the wall a little bit, and this was kind of the expectation that he wasn't going to be there. You never know. So, I think a few days ago, maybe you left open the possibility, but when the last couple of days, there was no sign of him reporting or anything changing. I don't think this is surprising at all. I think ultimately, as we get closer to training camp, that's when the pressure heats up a little bit, right? So if you're Aaron Rodgers and you want to play this season and you don't want to play in Green Bay, and I'm not saying unequivocally that that's what's happening, but if that is what's happening and you want to play somewhere else, well, you need to force something right around training camp so that you can get to another team and say, hey, I need to learn a playbook and get to know new teammates and everything like that. So if he legitimately wants out, which again, I'm not saying he does, but if he does, he has to do something so that he can get to that other team in time and actually learn everything. So, and on the flip side, if you're Green Bay, if we think this is a story right now, which it is, obviously it's a major story, it only starts heating up if he's not there at training camp. And it starts to get, it starts to really pile on top of that. We already saw, some quotes today from a player that, why can't I think of his name? It doesn't matter. Either way, there's a quote out there that said, like, one player was already like, hey, enough is enough. We need to get this going. Either you're with us or you're not with us. So I just think if you go into training camp and he's not there, like, you just start this undercurrent of negativity and bunch of questions. And I think from both sides, as we get closer to training camp, that's when it's going to really kind of heat up. Ty Dunn was the
yeah. I think I saw that tweet. It was like anonymous. I can't say that word, but unnamed player. But I've been saying it because, like, I'm extremely biased. So, like, I just I just troll people on Facebook and stuff. But I'm very, like, positive. Like, he's gonna come back. I wasn't really surprised he didn't show up today. I think a lot of people, were saying that he wasn't going to. I think training camp he will. I saw a video. James Jones was saying, like, it's not about getting the GM fired. It's not about all the things people are talking about. And in your opinion, like, what is it about? Like, to me, he just wants, which I think everyone's been saying, he wants long-term commitment. He doesn't want to play this season and get traded. That's not what James Jones said, but I think that's what it is.
So to me, there's usually two reasons for breakdowns, in whether it's a personal relationship, whether it's a business relationship, communication or respect. One of those two things is usually gone wrong. So either there was a lack of communication and things just fell apart. And maybe it started simple and then it got exponentially worse over the time. But I think when you have a lack of communication, things can break down. And respect, whether he felt fully respected for his efforts and everything that he has done for the franchise, that they were giving him the level of respect that he felt like he needed and deserved for his status and stature within the team, within the league, and as a superstar within all of sports, not just within football. And again, I don't want to put words in Aaron Rodgers' mouth. I don't know exactly what he's thinking. Everyone is just conjecture for the most part at this point. I know there's a few people with sources out there, obviously, but I am not one of them. So this is trying to read the tea leaves and kind of figure it out. But 99% of the time when there's an issue, it's either due to lack of communication or lack of respect. And I think when you start putting the pieces together, it seems pretty clear that when Jordan Love was selected, he was not even involved in that conversation, that they did not alert him that could necessarily be something that would take place. I think those things are problematic if that is in fact the case. And Brian Gutekunst has even said, when I asked him if there's anything he could do differently looking back at last year's draft, he said they wish they would have communicated better. So I think to me that is a telltale sign that this was not communicated well with Aaron Rodgers. I think, again, the Jake Kummerow thing sounds so ridiculous and stupid on the surface, but if you go out of your way to praise a receiver, say he's playing great and think that he can make an impact on the team, and then if in fact the team doesn't communicate with you that, hey, we're gonna release this guy, I know you really like him, or even at least converse with them to say, hey, we're thinking of releasing him. We know you think strongly of him. We should talk about this. If those things aren't happening, I think that's how you get this level of breakdown. And I think if Rodgers feels like he was slighted, listen, Packers and Packer fans have watched him be slighted before and have used that as his motivation and have benefited off of him being upset about those things. You don't want to get on the other side of that. If he feels slighted and he feels like you've done him wrong, he's going to hold that against you as well. So it feels like maybe this is the time where Green Bay didn't play their cards exactly right. And again, what I want to very clearly state here, Matt, is this is a very divisive topic, right? It's almost to the point of a political conversation where there's black and there's white and everyone is dug in and it's black and white. There is, like everything else, a million shades of gray with this. And I can fully understand what Green Bay and Brian Gutekunst were trying to do in this situation. I can 1,000,000% understand how Aaron Rodgers would potentially feel in this situation. I think there were probably missteps on both sides, and I think there were probably things said and done on both sides that probably both sides maybe either regret or wish they could have done differently. And I think there's just gray area here. And I think until their time goes on and both of those sides get resolved and things hopefully get better, I think right now the only thing that's going to work is hopefully time.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, it is like so divisive. Like on all my social medias, I see like Packer fans who are, let's just move on. But the thing with me is like the people who are like over Aaron, like they're saying they're over. I don't think they're over. They're overhearing about the story, and that's not really Aaron Rodgers or the Packers. Like people are going to talk about it. Like you are a podcaster, you do all these things. It's what everyone needs to talk about. Everyone wants to talk about. It's a huge story, but like. As far as like them releasing wide receivers and not talking to them, I kind of agree. Like I think that they should talk to them a little bit. I think any coach should talk to quarterbacks, like even in like training camp, and say, what guys do you like? Like the guys that aren't big names. Like, do you like what they're doing? Whatever. I mean, obviously the coaches are watching, but you would think there'd be some communication there about the weapons for the wide receiver, for the quarterback.
And here's the thing, right? So, and this is why it's so hard, and this is why you won't find me, for a variety of reasons, but this is the main one, taking a side and saying this person's wrong or this person's wrong, is because we don't know it. From the sounds of it, Brian Gutekunst had an open door policy and was very open to this. We know that the Packers have a leadership panel to discuss certain issues and topics within the team, and those are sort of things that are happening. So how vocal was Aaron Rodgers? How often was he, walking to Brian Gutekunst's office and sharing ideas that he had? If the GM and the team has an open door policy and says, hey, we want to hear these things and we want to hear these ideas and we want to talk to you, and they're not being told those things, well, it's a two-way street. So again, I'm not absolving anyone of blame, and I'm not saying that anyone's, to blame either. Like, I just think that as fans, we know bits and pieces of little things here and there. And it's really easy to grasp onto one of those and say the other side's evil and the other side's wrong. And more often than not, again, the truth lies somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I've been saying that too the whole time. Is like, I'm not mad at the Packers. First of all, I don't know any of the details. Like I didn't know, everyone's reporting or whatever. But yeah, I don't think that you can pick a side in this, because like people who are saying, people are saying, silly things about Rodgers. But I do think it's split. But yeah, I don't think that you can blame one side or the other, because like we say, we don't know. But anyways, I want to move on from that a little bit, because you're at, there's a lot of other players on the team.
Yes. Yeah.
And so like at camp, I know that you're there, right? I saw you tweeting some pictures and all that. So what are you seeing? Like, who's the guy that stands out that is like looking good, or like any storylines from camp that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, so I was on with Perry and Maggie just a little bit on Pax What She Said live as well, And I kind of want to preface this by just kind of going over what practice actually looks like on these days. So very similar to the OTAs, you start off with just kind of like rotating like ball security and like random like special teams type drills. And there's not a ton going on. And then every group kind of separates off into their own position groups. And then you've got just kind of some individual drill work where they're working on, again, fundamentals of their specific position with their specific coaches. Then you usually have maybe some form of like special teams drill, or maybe, a couple other things going on. Then you have like maybe 10, 15 minute team drill where there's actually going, 11 on 11s and things like that, and where you can actually glean some stuff. And that's where you see all the reporters tweeting out who's at what position, who's on the offensive line, who's lined up on defense. And you can actually see some plays and who's doing well. So you get like 15 minutes of that. And then they go do something else, and then they split off into teams again, but it's just a walkthrough, like snail's pace version. So you can't glean a ton off of that. So there's like a 10, 15 minute period where you can kind of really start learning some of the stuff. I think the big takeaway, and if you really watched closely to what everyone was kind of reporting today, it was that, Jordan Love, for the most part, struggled at practice today. And most people were rightfully soft and nice about it. Like, the first thing I want to say, Matt, here is it's really, really tough to gauge in practice if somebody's doing well or not, because we don't know what they're trained at that moment to try to practice. For example, there could legitimately be a situation where the coaches say, hey, Jordan, we don't want you throwing the ball downfield. We want you to show that you can go 1, 2, 3 through your progressions and then just check it down at the end, right? Yeah. There could legitimately be something where they're saying, we're not asking you to push the ball downfield. We want to see how you go through your progression. Footwork looks like that. If that's what Jordan Love is trying to accomplish, to all of us on the sidelines, it's going to look dumb and it's going to look stupid. And it's because we're saying, like, why isn't he throwing the ball down the field? Where's the, those sort of things. If he's focused on something else, or even if he's focused and being super intense on just his footwork, you focus on your footwork, and then you're a quarter second late to your first read, and then you kind of stay there a second longer, and then you're a half second late to your second, and then the third's totally gone. Then you're going to panic check down at the end. When you're thinking about those sort of things, if you're a quarter second off, everything is out of whack. So to the naked eye, to those of us on the sidelines, it might look like an unmitigated disaster, but it might just be literally like, we need to tweak one thing with timing and we're good to go. Or they might be focusing on something else. But through 3 practices now, 2 OTA practices and a mini camp now that we're open to the media, I can't tell you that I've seen one throw that I can cling on to and say, wow, that was awesome. Like, that was that. Okay, we're cooking. We've got something here. Like, there's not one where it's like 5-step drop, read, second read, bullet pass, nice completion, throwing something open, gorgeous ball downfield. There's not one in 3 practices. There's definitely been some inaccurate throws, ton of checkdowns, ton of quick stuff. So again, I want to preface it by saying it's a mini camp. He's very, very raw. We can see the talent when he's going through individual drills, which he looks much better at this year than he did a season ago. But there is a long way to go for Jordan Love based on what we've seen the 3 practices now so far this year.
Yeah, my thing, like today, like reading all those reports, people are saying that he was struggling today. I can't imagine the pressure that he's under.
Oh, sure.
And everybody, I mean, he's a professional, so he's going to be held, to a standard or whatever. But I can't imagine the pressure, like knowing just everyone's watching you. And I think he's probably more professional than like like sometimes like. I've been in a situation where more people watch than normal. I get nervous. Just talking to you.
Don't.
No, but like I get that there's a lot of nervous to it. It just practice, like you said. We don't know. Like I always say that during a game, because there's guys like you who are smart and kind of know what people are supposed to be doing, like on the field. But there's a lot of times, like a receiver will run a route and guys will trash him. Like, why didn't he go deep? But like if that was what he was supposed to be doing. And not everyone realizes that at practice, it's even worse than that. Because like you said, nobody knows like what they're working on, what they're told to do. So yeah, I wouldn't take too much into practice. But so like, do you think that if Rodgers would not be available this season, would they go maybe with Blake Bortles instead of Jordan if they don't think he's ready?
That's a really interesting question. So if I had to say over 2 practices, who looks better, right? Well, first of all, it's not like either of them look amazing, but I would say probably Bortles looks a little bit better, just a little bit more confident playing within the confines of an NFL system. The optics are really bad. If you drafted Jordan Love as, the heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers says, screw you guys. And then you start Blake Bortles over Jordan Love, and Jordan Love's not ready to play. And I get that he was a project quarterback and everything like that, but it's still not great optics. But my biggest thing here would be this. If Aaron Rodgers, in fact, would retire or get traded back in return or something like that, no matter what, if he's gone, the number one thing for this franchise moving forward is that Jordan Love is good, period. And if that means that he needs to get the reps and start on day one, then get him the reps and start on day one. If he's not ready and you think by playing him day one that he's going to lose confidence and it's going to hurt his development, then by no means do you play him on day one. Brian Gutekunst and probably Matt LaFleur by proxy and the future of this Green Bay Packers at that point, if Rodgers is gone, is predicated, at least the next 5 years, is predicated upon the success of Jordan Love. So you've got to get that right. So you do whatever you can. And again, if that's starting him, great. If it's not starting him, great. But you have to make sure that he turns out. So whatever you need to do in that situation, you do, and you kind of make the rest of your decisions based off of that.
Yeah, I've always said too, if Rodgers would happen to leave and Jordan Love is good, they're going to look like geniuses. If he's not good, they're going to look like, morons. And it's kind of what I think he's going to be there. Like I've been saying, I don't know, what your thoughts. I'm so biased. I can't even, people comment that to me all the time. So you can't, look without a fan lens. I'm not a reporter. I'm not an analyst. I'm just a fan who, and I don't know. I actually do think that he'll be there. I think when training camp rolls around or whenever it is, he'll be there week one. But I want to ask you about David Bakhtiari.
Yeah.
He had an injury. I see that he's been working out on the side. What can you tell us about him?
Yes, I didn't get to see him too much today, but man, when I saw him at OTAs last week, he looked phenomenal. You would not know that guy had a torn ACL in December of last year. And I am certainly not a doctor, and I have no idea when when he's going to be ready or anything like that. But I can't imagine that anyone could be any better looking than what David Bakhtiari looked coming off a torn ACL in December. Last week, it was June 1st, I think, that we saw him. It was crazy how well he looked. I mean, just, planting, doing grapevine drills, getting in and out of cuts, doing medicine ball stuff. He just moved like David Bakhtiari. If you would have told me to do a blind, or I guess not a blind test, but not knowing what happened over the last 7 months and just said, hey, here was David Bakhtiari in November, and now you're watching him in June, would have had no idea that anything had happened to him. So again, there could be something underlying. He could be in pain. He could be less confident, making certain movements based off of what happens. We don't know all of that stuff, but just seeing him and how he was moving, I think Green Bay has to be really excited from what they're seeing so far.
Yeah, it'd be great if they. I don't know the length either. Is it possible that he starts week one? Is that too soon, or is it going to be where is there thinking of when he can start?
Yeah, I don't think that anyone's putting a timetable on anything yet. I certainly don't think Green Bay would rule him out for week one, again, just based on where he's at right now. My guess is he's not ready to go start a training camp or anything like that. But I think we'll get a better feel for it towards, middle end of training camp on where he's at. And if they think he might be able to give it a go around that time. But again, we'll see. But I'm encouraged so far by what I've seen. And even if it's a month, even if it's, a month and a half or whatever, I mean, obviously a lot depends upon who the quarterback is and stuff like that, but still a really good sign that he's in the, condition that he is right now.
So out of the rookies, this year's rookies, is there anyone that's standing out? Oh, this guy's, I mean, I know it's practice, you don't really see too much, but is there a guy that you see that just looks like he's just doing great?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything in any specific play where I'm like, oh, wow, that's super impressive. Obviously Josh Myers has taken just about every single first team rep that's been available since he, started in OTAs a couple weeks ago. Every snap that's been available to media with the first team that I've seen. Myers has been out there, so it's obviously a really good sign for him. Royce Newman today was started off as the second team right tackle, but then did rotate in at right guard with the ones as well. So he's somebody that's getting a look with the first team group. Amari Rodgers, definitely somebody that's working himself in with the first teamers, and then definitely seems like they're trying to integrate Eric Stokes a little bit as well. So, I mean, really top 4 draft picks are getting looks. Do I feel confident enough to say one way or the other, or whether they're looking great or struggling? No, but obviously good that they're getting some of those first team reps.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this draft class, but it's like talking about training camp. Is training camp going to be like back to normal? Are there going to be fans? Have you heard anything like what's going to happen with training camp?
That's the hope, but right now I don't have a full level of confidence with it. The only reason I say that is, as of right now, we saw today, there were 4 players gone, due to COVID protocols. Right now, they're still limiting the amount of reporters that can be at a practice. There's still people getting tested within the building. So they're still taking things pretty seriously with COVID protocol stuff. Now, that being said, I don't think fans being in the stands at the opposite side on practice really affects the practice field or the players on the field in any way, shape, or form. It would be more the safety of the fans in the stands. And I think it's already been announced they're going to go with full, stands for games and things like that. So I'm hopeful, but nothing's been announced as of yet. And I'm semi-hesitant to say it, but I would think that at some point there will be fans. At least that's my hope.
Yeah, I could see them doing fans, but maybe not doing the bike thing, because that's
that's probably a really smart observation.
Yeah, because there's obviously a lot more close contact with everyone. But even though that is one of the funnest parts of training camp. But before I let you go here, I got to talk, because you made a lot of people say, you have the worst food takes in all of Twitterland. And you actually made a good one. I was reading some of the replies. So what was it? What was the take? I forget exactly what it was.
Peanut butter M&Ms are the superior candy over Reese's Pieces. So I think that was the first one I ever posted that I got more like for than severe distaste for. So I had a small celebration on my first semi-correct food take, I think. So I was very happy with it.
Yeah, so anybody who watching or listening who doesn't know, you said you hate Thanksgiving food.
All Thanksgiving food is terrible. Yeah. All seafood is terrible. Let's see. I really don't. I mean, I'm okay with bacon, but it's not like my thing. Not really a brat guy. I don't like ham. I don't like what is the other ones? I don't like any Miracle Whip or mayonnaise. Don't like blue cheese. Don't like sour cream. Don't like ranch. Any of that stuff is all garbage. So I'm a very picky eater. I eat pretty much like a third grader at best.
Dude, that's what's fascinating about me, because I'm like kind of the same way. Like, even if we're at a family function, they're doing a barbecue, everyone's like, "Oh, do you even like this, or will you eat this?" But let me ask you the big question: what about macaroni and cheese?
Like mac and cheese is great for sure.
All right, everyone likes macaroni and cheese. So now we can still be friends, because that's my favorite food. Because that's what it's like for me. Like, everyone says I eat like a third. I could eat macaroni and cheese every day, and many times I do.
Yeah, no, mac and cheese. And if you get a really good mac and cheese, obviously anyone can throw together like a Kraft mac and cheese, but really good, nice Wisconsin cheddar mac and cheese. That's like little breadcrumb action. Yeah. Wisconsin chef kiss right there.
There's so many ways to make it, so many great ways. But I appreciate you taking the time tuning in. I'm exhausted today because I am on vacation, a little hungover this morning. Took it an easy day, but excuse me. Thanks for joining me, and everyone, thanks for watching live, or if you're listening on a podcast, check out Pack-A-Day podcast. Andy Herman is the godfather of Pack-A-Day on Cheesehead TV. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Go Pack, go.